Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stoke Seeds. Pre-plan your indoor seed starting program today with the help of Stoke's 2018 Gardening Guide and their online articles. Whether you're adding texture through foliage, choosing a new variety for a splash of color, developing an existing garden, or starting from scratch, Stoke Seeds has some great catalog and online resources to help you through the process. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stoke Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, and harvesting, plus all the gardening accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Get growing with Stokes. Now, today's question.
Now, you spoke earlier about making sure to keep wildlife nourished. What about the wildlife that we don't necessarily want to be nourished? Specifically here in Central Ohio, we have a deer problem.
Yes.
How do we, in the winter comes, things get sparse, the deer come closer and closer and closer looking for sustenance. Yep. How do we keep them at bay and hopefully keep the problem not any worse than it already is?
That's right. And you first of all have to accept that they eat to make a living. I mean, that's all there is to
it.
No restaurants for the deer, squirrels, bunnies, and that kind of thing. You ask a question that is high in my mind right now because approximately 3 weeks ago, I looked out from the bedroom window one morning and I didn't pay close attention, but there was something different about that basic area of the planting area. And I walked away, did some things, came back and looked out the window again, and it dawned on me that there was something that isn't normally there. I looked closer, then I grabbed the binoculars, which I keep on the windowsill, and there was a deer bedded down in my backyard in a suburban area. And he doesn't belong there.
Yeah,
he just plain doesn't belong there. Well, it's not uncommon anymore. It was a buck deer laying there sound asleep because I went down and looked through. Anyhow, he was sound asleep. He kind of came awake and coughed up and started to chew his cud and laid there very relaxed. Then he got up and kind of stretched himself a little bit, looked around. And after eating on his cud from other people's plants, he turned and started off on chewing on my plants. And that's when I went busting out the back door, pot in hand, banging the devil out of it.
Sure.
And, that deer was so used to people. I got within 20 feet of him, and he wasn't going to leave until I got closer than 20 feet. And then because of the rack on his head, I was glad he went away instead of challenging me.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it is one of those things where, number one, if you live anywhere near a wooded area or a ravine that they travel and so on, try to pick out plants that are not as apt to be eaten. And I put it that way because I think a hungry deer and other critters will eat darn near anything just to stay alive. But for example, I know one place where we switched out all of the taxus in a semi-wooded area near a ravine in their backyard and put in boxwood. They don't like boxwood. So when they had chewed the taxus just about down to zip, we just simply replaced them with boxwood, and the boxwood are thriving. Now, they can handle some shade. They can handle that particular terrain. So you have to be careful what you use as a substitute. But you try to change their diet. The one thing that I have trouble objecting to, but I have to object to it, people who choose to feed the deer and or other critters. They're simply setting up a food pattern, chain, whatever, where they're inviting the critters to come into their area. I enjoy watching wildlife immensely, but I would not want to set up a feeding station in my yard because I know they would eat in 4 yards before they got to mine and 4 after they left mine and so on. You can't stop them. There are legalities that are involved. But at the same time, you can change, or I'll call it changing their diet, changing their food sources. The other thing is to keep a pan handy that you can bang on when you run out the back door. Just don't get too close and too threatening because I outweigh most buck deer, but they could hurt me pretty bad.
Sure.
So don't challenge them into the corner of a fence that they can't get out of.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. Remember, pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes Gardening Guide and their online resources. And request your free catalog while you're online. For the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to stokeseeds.com. Cultivating successful growers for generations.